new to moth trapping, never used a pheromone lure to attract moths, not sure what it is, how to use it. Well, after many years of using pheromone traps to attract some really uncommon moths, I'll show you exactly how to go, what it's all about. But before, a little taster. Yeah, and here we have a lunar hornet moth, actually trying to get into the pheromone trap. Oh, he's nearly in. He's in, but I will let him go because I've recorded that now. But no, that was good to see. So the first question we've got to ask: why use a pheromone trap? The simple answer is you are not going to see some of the species like the yellow-legged clearwing. You're not going to see it in the open unless you use a pheromone trap, because inside the pheromone trap there is the scent of the female of the species that you want to attract. So you're not going to see it. So that's why we use a pheromone trap. Okay, then moving on. So what is a pheromone trap then? Right, it consists of basically three parts. First of all, you've got the catchment area, which is that there. Just simply, whether the camera can see it, just simply unscrews and comes off. So that's that. Then there's this part of it. Well, the most important part is this, because this is where you're going to place the bung or the vial of the actual scent of the female moth. So these are important points. Never ever get your bungs or vials mixed up together. This is how they come originally, in a sealed unit like that. I tend to put them, you may find your own way, I then put them in this little plastic bag there. This is the red tip clearwing, so it's in there. And then when I seal that up and I put that in the freezer, you must put these in the freezer when not in use. When I place that in, I'll do it this way to show you better. When I place this into the pot there, I always seal that up so no moths can get in. Or another idea which I use, you can put on a bit of tape there that this is a yellow-legged clearwing bung that you've got in there. So when you buy the pheromone traps, and I'll put some information on about where you get them from and things on that line. They come in various bungs and vials. If you just come in a little bit closer, you'll see that there's two different types here. There's a rubber bung and a vial. And you'll notice, one, I'm not going to touch them because you never touch these by hand because you don't want to contaminate. It looks as though there's a little cap on there. You don't need to touch them at all. You don't need to open them. You don't need to do anything. So I will put the yellow clearwing bung into this here ready. But right, so if you watch there now, I am not going to touch it at all. I'm going to simply, whoops, it's a bit windy today, simply, it always does this when you're filming, that's it, and that's gone in there. I'll put that so that doesn't blow away, and then we're going to put that onto there, and you can see that the vial is inside there. You don't need to do anything else at all. All we need to simply do now is to put that in there, click that down so it's nice and secure, doesn't move in any shape or form. Right, so before we move on into the garden and start looking more in depth of what we can catch, do your research, right? We'll use the yellow-legged clearwing again. That is a moth that's associated with oak trees, right? So there's no point in putting it near currant bushes and expect to get an oak yellow-legged clearwing. So like I've just said there, a currant clearwing, which I do get in the garden, and I'll show you a bit later on, I put near the currant bushes. So do your research on the habitat that the moth is associated with. Anyway, enough of all this. Let's get in the garden and have a look at what we can catch. Now, a point to remember is that when you buy a lure, there will be other male moths that will be attracted to that lure, like something like a yellow-legged clearwing. There'll be other species that will come to that moth trap, which makes it even more interesting. The lure I've got behind me is a Trico Pulsar Nye lure, and I found something in there quite common. It's a silver Y moth, but that just demonstrates that other species will be attracted to the actual lure that you have bought. So let's have a look. So you can see there, that's the silver Y moth in the moth trap. But let's get a better look than that. So there it is, the silver Y moth. That's a better, clearer view of it. So I placed a lunar hornet moth pheromone trap in the garden. So we'll just have a look, see what we've got. I can see some activity already. So let's just have a look. Yeah, believe it or not, we've got 3 lunar hornet moths in there. That's a good record actually. So what I will do now, again like I did with the others, I shall release them straight away. They look like wasps, but they're completely harmless, and they are a bit of a wasp mimicker. So those are the lunar hornet moth. Again. Right, so I'm just approaching the red tip clearwing trap just to see what we've got, and yes, let's have a quick look. Yeah, I think we've got 3. There's one there, one at the top, and one down at the bottom. So that's good. Right, so hopefully you've been inspired by this video and you've learnt more about lures and moth trapping with pheromone lures. A couple of things just before I go. Remember, vastly important, never ever touch the lures and the vials that I've spoken about, and keep them in the fridge. And the most important thing of all, enjoy, because this is a brilliant way now of taking the interest in moths that little bit further, not forgetting that these the majority of the moths that you're going to record are going to be daytime moths. There's nothing more pleasurable than what I do anyway, every hour coming out, checking, is there something in, isn't there something in. And also don't forget, if you do find something, make sure you tell your county recorder, because you could be recording something quite unusual. Right, enough of me waffling on. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe for the next moth video or some other wildlife video that I put out. I shall catch you in the next video. I'm going to check mine now, see if I've got anything. See you later, bye.